California is a famous state in the United States. Many people think of sunny weather, movies from Hollywood, and new technology from Silicon Valley. California is very rich. Its economy is huge. If California were a country, its economy would be one of the biggest in the world. This shows how much money and business are in the state. But California also has big problems. It has the most poor people of all the states in the country. Many people do not have enough money for basic needs. Also, California has a very large number of homeless people. Almost 1/3 of all homeless people in the United States live in California. This means many people do not have a home and must live on the streets. So, California has a lot of money and success. There are many rich people and big companies. But at the same time, there is a lot of poverty and homelessness. This is a big difference, a paradox. How can a place be so successful and have so many people struggling? This story will look at this paradox. We will try to understand why California is like this. We will see how it became so rich. Then we will look at why it also has so many problems today. We will explore how these two parts of California live side by side. It is a state of great wealth next to great need. Understanding this picture is the start of our story. 2. A rich history. California's story has a rich past. After World War II, the state started to grow very fast. This was a special time, often called the Golden Age. In Southern California, big companies started making airplanes and rockets. The war needed these things, and after the war, the work continued. Millions of people found jobs in this industry. They made many airplanes, like 300,000 by the end of World War II. Later, the Cold War also brought more work, making rockets and things for space. Almost 500,000 people had jobs in this industry in the South. At the same time, Northern California began to change too. Important universities like Stanford and UC Berkeley helped start a new kind of economy. Smart people from these schools began new companies that made technology. This area became known as Silicon Valley in the 1970s. Companies there made computers and other new electronic things that changed the world. Many things helped this growth. The government spent a lot of money on defense and space work. Universities taught people the skills for new jobs. And there was a feeling that you could start your own business and succeed. This time brought a lot of money and power to California. Hollywood in California was also making movies and TV shows that people all over the world watched. Tech companies started big changes with computers and the internet. By the 1990s, California's economy was very big, even bigger than some countries. Money came into the state, helping cities grow and people buy homes. People moved to California for the California dream. This dream meant living in a sunny place, having a good job, and believing you could have a better life if you worked hard. For many years, this dream felt real for millions of people who came to the state. 3. not enough homes. California became a popular place to live. More and more people wanted to move there for jobs and the nice weather. But over time, building new homes became much slower. One big reason was that people who already lived in neighborhoods did not want new buildings nearby. This was called the "not in my backyard" attitude. They did not like the idea of new apartments or many homes on one street. They fought against building plans in town meetings and used local laws to stop projects. Local governments also made rules that made building difficult. Often, the rules said you could only build 1 or 2 houses on a piece of land. This stopped larger apartment buildings or smaller, less expensive homes from being built. New rules about protecting the environment and old buildings also added delays and costs to building. Because of these reasons, California did not build enough homes for all the new people arriving. In some years, for every 5 new people who came to the state, only 1 new home was built. This created a big problem. There were many people, but not enough places to live. When there are not enough homes, prices go up a lot. Homes in California became much more expensive than in other parts of the country. By 2020, the average price of a home was more than double the national average. To buy an average home, a family needed a very high income, much more than the average pay in the state. This made buying a home impossible for many working families and young people. Rent also became very high. People had to spend most of their money just on rent or move very far away from their jobs. This high cost of living, mainly because of housing, made it hard for many people to live comfortably. Some state leaders, like Governor Gavin Newsom, said that this problem of people stopping new buildings was hurting the state. Also, a rule called Proposition 13, made in 1978, limited money for local towns, which made it even harder to build the things needed for new homes. Because homes were so expensive, many people started thinking about moving away from California to find a cheaper place to live. The dream of owning a home became only for the rich. 4. Different kinds of jobs. The kinds of jobs available in California started to change significantly after some time. For many years, there were numerous stable jobs in factories and manufacturing. People worked making products, including things like airplanes and other items for defense industries. These positions were often skilled work. While not always requiring a university degree, these jobs generally paid enough money for families to own a home and live a good life. This manufacturing base was a key part of the state's middle class. However, around the 1990s, this situation began to shift. A large number of these factory jobs started to disappear. When the Cold War ended, defense spending decreased, and thousands upon thousands of these jobs were lost across California. Factories closed, or companies moved their operations elsewhere. People who had worked in these skilled trades for years suddenly found themselves needing new employment, but finding other jobs that paid similarly was very difficult. The jobs that had supported many middle-class families were gone. At the same time, a different kind of economy was growing quickly in California. This was the rise of technology companies, especially centered in areas like Silicon Valley. There was also growth in finance, professional services, and entertainment. These new sectors created immense wealth, but the jobs within them were very different from the old factory jobs. They typically demanded advanced education, such as university degrees, and specialized skills in computing, engineering, or business management. This economic change created a clear division. People who had the necessary education and skills for the new technology and finance jobs could find positions that paid extremely high salaries. They became very rich, leading to a large increase in the number of millionaires and billionaires in California. In contrast, for people who had worked in older industries or who did not possess high levels of education, it was challenging. Often, the available jobs were in the service sector, working in retail stores, restaurants, cleaning, or caretaking. These jobs usually paid much lower wages. The job market became polarized. There was a relatively smaller group earning very high incomes in the growing tech and finance fields, and there was a much larger group working in lower-paying service jobs. The income earned by those at the top became many, many times greater than the income of those at the bottom. This significant difference in available jobs and the money they paid created a very wide gap between the wealthy and the poor in California. The state became known for having both great prosperity for some and considerable hardship for many others. This fundamental change in the job landscape deeply affected the state's social structure and the reality of the California dream for countless residents. 5. New rules, big problems. California's problems did not just come from not enough homes or changes in jobs. Decisions by the government also played a big part in making things worse for many people. In the past, people with severe mental health issues could be kept in state hospitals. But in the 1960s, the state made important changes. A new law made it much harder to keep people in hospitals against their will. Many state mental hospitals closed down. This happened under Governor Ronald Reagan. The idea was to let people live more freely in their communities. However, the state did not build enough places in local towns and cities for these people to live and get the help they needed, like doctors or support groups. Many people with mental illness left the hospitals but had nowhere safe or helpful to go. Years later, California changed its laws about crime and drugs. Governors like Jerry Brown and Gavin Newsom signed laws to reduce the number of people in prisons and jails. This was partly to make the system fairer and less crowded. For example, a law in 2014 called Proposition 47 changed some crimes, like having small amounts of drugs, to less serious problems. This meant fewer people went to jail or prison for these things. But again, like with the mental hospitals, the state did not add enough help for these people after they left the system or avoided jail. There was not enough treatment for addiction or enough places for them to live. Also, courts made important decisions. Some courts said that it was cruel and unusual to punish people for sleeping outside when cities did not have enough beds in shelters for everyone who needed one. This meant cities often allowed people to stay in tents on the streets instead of forcing them to leave without offering a place to go. So, what was the result of these new rules? The state stopped using hospitals and jails as the main places for people with mental problems or drug issues, but it did not create a strong, helpful system outside of those places. People were not kept inside, but they were also not given enough support to find homes, get treatment, or manage their lives. These policy decisions meant that many vulnerable people ended up living on the streets. They had no stable place to live, no easy way to get help for their health problems, and cities were limited in how they could move them. This mix of government decisions greatly added to the number of people without homes in California and made the social problems much bigger. 6. Many poor people. California today faces very serious social problems. There are many people who are homeless and many people who are poor. This is a big challenge for a state that also has so much wealth. California has a very large number of homeless people. It is estimated that about 1/3 or 30% of all people experiencing homelessness in the United States live here. This is the largest number in the country by far. It means tens of thousands of individuals and families do not have a safe place to stay at night. On any given night, there are roughly 150,000 people without homes. Many of these people are sleeping outside, in tents, in temporary shelters, or in their cars. Others might stay with friends or family if they can, but they still lack a permanent home. The problem of homelessness is very visible in California's cities and towns. You can see tents and makeshift camps on sidewalks, in parks, and under highway bridges. People living in these places often have very few possessions and face difficult living conditions every single day. They may not have easy access to food, clean water, or bathrooms. This is a clear sign of the human cost of this crisis. Poverty is also a major issue for many Californians. Because the cost of living is so high in the state, many people are considered poor even if they have a job. Housing is extremely expensive here. Rent prices are very high in most areas, making it hard to save money or find an affordable place to live. Buying a home is impossible for many people today. Basic needs like food, electricity, transport, and health care also cost much more money compared to many other states. When we look at the true cost of living, California has the highest rate of poverty in the United States. About 1 in 5 people in the state are living in poverty under this measure. This means more than 7 million Californians do not have enough money to afford the basic things they need to live a healthy life and cover necessary expenses. For many working people, the wages they earn are simply not enough to cover these high costs. Even people with full-time jobs struggle to pay for rent, food, and other necessities each month. This difficult situation creates a large gap between the people who are very rich and the many people who are struggling just to survive. California has a lot of wealth, but it is often concentrated at the top. The problems of homelessness and poverty clearly show this inequality. They are difficult challenges for the state to solve. They affect the lives of many people and families every day, making life very hard. The problems seen on the streets are a daily reminder of these serious social issues in California today. 7. People are leaving. California is famous around the world. It has amazing nature, technology companies, and the movie industry. But living here is very expensive. The high cost of living is making many people think about their future in the state. For some, the costs are just too high, and they decide to move away. This movement of people leaving California for other states has been happening for about 2 decades. It's called domestic migration. When we look at the total numbers, more people have left California for other parts of the U.S. than have come to California from other U.S. states. Since the year 2000, this difference is more than 4 million people. This is a very large number. In the last few years, this trend became even stronger. From 2020 to 2024, the state lost about 1.46 million residents to other states. This means that in those 4 years, many more people moved out than moved in from places like Texas, Arizona, or Nevada. Every single year during this time, California saw hundreds of people pack their bags and leave for cheaper states. This is not just older people retiring. Many people leaving are young and educated. For example, in 2022, over 200,000 adults who were 25 years old or older moved out of California. These were often people with college degrees who could not afford to live well in California, even with good jobs. They found they could have a better life and save money in other states. The main reason is clear: money. Living in California costs a lot. It often ranks as one of the top 5 most expensive states in the entire country. Housing is the biggest part of this problem. Buying a house or paying rent takes a very large part of a person's income. In some areas, it is nearly impossible for average families to afford a home. But it is not only housing. Other daily costs, like taxes, paying for electricity and water, and even buying food at the store, are higher than in many other places. A study showed that 1 out of 3 people in California has thought about moving just because housing is so expensive. It is important to note that businesses are also leaving. Companies look at their costs too. They see that operating in California is expensive. High taxes, rules, and the cost of paying workers enough to live here can be very high. So, many companies have decided to move their main offices. From 2018 to 2021, over 350 companies moved their headquarters out of California. These were not just small businesses. Some were very large, well-known companies. When companies move, they often take jobs with them. This means fewer jobs and opportunities in California for the people who stay. Famous business people, like the head of Tesla, have also talked about moving their companies or have already done it. This sends a message that California might be too costly for businesses to grow and be successful. So, the high price of living in California is causing a significant number of people and many companies to leave the state. This movement shows that the state is facing problems with affordability for its residents and businesses. It is a sign that the California dream, which was once about opportunity for everyone, is becoming harder to reach for many. 8. What happens next? California is a state with big problems, like high housing costs and many people without homes. But it is also a place with a very large economy and important companies. What happens next? The future is not clear. The state government knows about the problems and is trying to fix them. New laws help build more houses, and the government is spending a lot of money. A new group focuses on housing and homelessness. The state plans to build 2.5 million new homes by 2030, including 1 million for people with less money. Money helps turn old hotels into homes, Project HomeKey. They also help people build small backyard houses. Some people are hopeful about these actions. They see good signs. More homes were built last year than in many years. Some cities try new ideas, like small homes or more mental health help. But building houses quickly is hard. Some say new laws are not helping enough. Building still faces problems. Old rules and people saying no make it slow. Taxes and rules also make it hard for businesses. Some companies and people still move to cheaper states. People have different ideas about why the problems are here. Some blame state rules, others blame a lack of help for people in need. Still, California is strong. It has a very big economy, top universities, and important industries like technology and movies. Leaders talk about the problems, and people want changes. The state has money to fix things. If plans work, more homes could lower prices. This helps people find homes. Then the state can help people without homes with places and support. If people find good jobs, the gap between rich and poor might get smaller. The next few years are very important for California. They will show if the state can make things better for everyone. Can California fix its problems and keep the California dream alive for all its people? What do you think will happen to California in the future?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.